Hi folks, I'm Stephen Cronin. Thanks for joining me again today. Now today I've got a simple little river scene with lots of reflections. I used a photograph of Cuckoo's Nook. I took, patrons will be able to see that on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Stephen Cronin. I've just tried to distill the scene as best as I could. So check out the reference photograph on my Patreon page and let me show you the colours I've used. We had ultramarine, lemon yellow, alizarin crimson, raw sienna, burnt umber and light red. So I used 6 colours. The only one I didn't use was the Payne's grey. The brushes, got a large Ron Ranson Hake, got a 1/4 inch flat, and I used a small sword liner brush. So just a little bit of water, not too much. And then I'm going to start off with raw sienna. Bit of crimson in that as well. That's dirty, that is. Let's take a bit of that. Let's go into a bit of blue. Also, don't forget to mix the colours in the water as well. And then at the back, I'm starting with the distant bushes on the far side, putting down a bit of reflection as well. Hopefully it'll come together. It looks a complete mess at the moment, but I'm hoping it will come together. Bit of red there. Let's clean the brush. Dry it a little bit. It's going to a bit of lemon yellow. I can see a bit of grass there in the reference photograph. Remember, the reference photograph is on my Patreon page if you want to take a look. Let's pop a bit of yellow down there as well. And then a bit of raw sienna, a bit of burnt umber. Go a little bit stronger. A bit of red down there. And the banks, they're coming lower as it comes towards us on this right hand side. So I'm just bringing it down a little bit. I can see where they're coming down. Right, now that's a bit of a background. Few background colours on there. Let's just pull that flat against the board, and then what I'm going to do is take the sword liner and start whacking in a load of twigs and branches and trees and trunks and all sorts of lovely things. I'm just going to mix a bit of raw sienna, a bit of blue, and I'm going to probably start over here where you can just about see some trees and things growing in the background. And even when they're not there, I might just add them in, just make them up. Remember the reference photograph, it's just that, it's just a reference. If I can see something that I can improve upon, don't forget the reflections, then I'll do that. I'll try and improve upon it. I'm not going to be fixed, rigid to the reference photograph. See now, slowly starting to take shape. Got a big tree now. This one is in the reference photograph, and that sort of just goes up like that, and then some of them go over there and a few like that. Now I'm going to get those reflections in, I'll remember. Bit of red, bit of blue, just a general dark mix. Bit more water, it's too dry. Oh, things going off all over the place. Some sort of reflection. Just keep reloading the brush. I'm just switching from red to brown to blue. Just a general darkish mix. Remember, whatever you do above, do it below. Got some in the background going the other way. Right, that's a few twigs and things on there. Back to the height brush. Let's go in with a bit of stronger paint now. So we're going a few little darks and things. Back to the sword liner, and I can see a few pair of fence posts up there, so I'm just going to whack something in. I whacked in a lot more than I can actually see, but like I say, I'm just using it as a rough reference, so I'm not worried too much. Let's take a light colour, because that needs filling in. A bit of raw sienna, bit of lemon yellow, and I can take up some of this. Right, again, just making sure it's flat against the board before I continue. Now I'm going to do, take this little 1/4 inch flat brush. I'll generally use this, just to put in a few little dark marks here and there. I'm just giving a bit of red, bit of blue, and then you can hold it. I mean, you can hold it if you want to get even more random marks. Just hold it at a funny angle. I'm just sort of putting a bit of paint on and just putting a few dark sections. These are just, it's easy to overdo it, but I don't want to get too mad. It's easy to very quickly overdo it. I'll just hold fire on that now for a bit. Back to the sword liner, same colours, but this time using the small sword liner brush. I just need to dry that, it's gone all wet. And just popping a few more twigs and things. A few distant things growing up there. Yeah, we've got something on this left. Now there's a little bank on the left hand side, so I'm just going to come up with a few little things on the left. So the good thing, when there's not much paint on the brush, you can just go whiz it around like this, just almost spinning it around in circles, just to get the little things, little thin narrow twigs and things at the end of the branches, the twigs and at the end of the trunks. I want to pop in just some sort of, just like some sort of narrow. I think if I carried on now, I'd just make it worse. So I think I'm going to stop it there at that point. I think I'm just going to sign this and call that one finished, I think. So let's just sign this down here. Right then, let's pop a mount on it and see what it looks like. So here's our finished painting in the mount. So if we're going to have a closer look. So the challenge was to sort of untangle all the massive detail in the reference photograph, which is on my Patreon page. So patrons will be able to see how I've really sort of tried to distill it as best as I could, cut out a lot of the unnecessary detail and just keep with the essentials. But you can see, like starting with the background, often I'll over mix it and muddy the colours, but this time I managed to retain it a little bit. The sort of yellows and the blues and the reds are distinctive in the background and reflected in the water. That was all done with a height brush, and then you can see, to contrast with the sword liner, then all the sharp sticks, twists and turns and sort of narrow lines, thick lines. Also, while the paint was still wet, paper was still wet, sorry, it's got a little bit lighter in tone, contrasting against the sort of darker toned, as well as the foreground as well. I don't know if it really needed that bit, these foreground things. I don't know if it would have been better if there was just a little bit of land mass at the bottom. I can't make my mind up about that, because it's sort of these are sort of clashing against those. But use the 1/4 inch flat as well, something I've started using really recently, just to put some darks in, also trying to get random shapes as well. It's so tempting to just get a brush and just put them in, and then when you look at it, everything just looks, it's all the same, there's too much similarity. It's all about trying to get those random natural effects. So I use that just to bash in a few darker tones, just so when you see it from a distance, you've got this sort of slightly darker band going across there. So I hope you enjoy that. Thanks always for watching. Do join me over at patreon.com/Stephen Cronin. Love to have you over there with us all. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, please ask. Keep practicing, and I'll see you again soon.